how did you originally meet Michael Jackson, and was the friendship instant?
I don't know about instant, but I knew right away that this was something that I needed to make happen. I don't know why. I don't know what the great importance of it was at that time, but everything happens on God's earth for a reason. I believe that wholeheartedly.
How did Cory Haim receive your friendship with Michael Jackson?
I think he had a bit of jealousy over it, but not jealousy in an unhealthy way. Just in the sense that he was a fan as well, and he always wanted to meet him. And you know, in the very early days when we were working on Lost Boys and License to Drive, he would tease me about it. You know, he'd be like, "Oh, is Michael calling?" You know, that kind of stuff.
Could you do that one more time?
No, but you know, he would also say things on the side like, you know, well, do you think you could get me on the phone with him? You know, you know, I'm a fan, right? I'm a fan. So I did get him on the phone with him a couple times, and fortunately, before they were both gone, I got to introduce them finally in person. I took Cory up to Neverland for a weekend, and you know, the three of us spent a great time together. Michael had a movie theater at Neverland where, when you would go up there for a visit, generally the visits would be 3 days. That was a general period of stay. So during that 3 days, you know, you'd have certain dinners and lunches, and you know, you had the chefs that would prepare everything for you. And, you know, obviously there was a big arcade. There was lots to do on the property. A big zoo. You had giraffes. You had elephants. But the movie theater was a great opportunity because, you know, they projected everything on 35 millimeter and a big screen. So you could literally call the projectionist before your trip and say, I'm going to be up there this weekend. These are the films I'd like you to order to have on stock. So, you know, if it was like a rhetoric of your past, you know, a relic. I don't mean a rhetoric. A relic, I'm sorry. A relic of your past, something that you miss seeing on the big screen, you could order it up and have it shown. So the last time I was at Neverland with Michael was with Cory Haim. And on that trip, we ordered Dream a Little Dream so that Michael could see it on the big screen with us for the first time.
And what was Michael's reaction
to
that?
He loved it. He loved it.
And how did you
thought it was a great tribute. You know, the dance scene specifically, he took it as a great tribute.
And that has to be rewarding for you to see Michael, you know, gushing over something like that. No, that had to make you feel great.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Were you high around Michael Jackson?
No, never. I mean, I may have smoked weed a couple times. I don't know, but that would have been the most of it, if anything.
There's a funny anecdote I came across that you and Michael Jackson went incognito to, I believe it was Disneyland or Disney World. How do you walk around Disney World in pure daylight, incognito?
Well, it wasn't daylight.
Jackson?
It wasn't daylight. It was at night.
Okay, that helps.
We came down just at nighttime, and it was kind of, you know, 9:30 at night. We only had about an hour and a half, 2 hours in the park, and in fact, we were followed by some fans to the amusement park. But, you know, we had gone to his apartment in Westwood beforehand and picked up some disguises, which is really the funniest part.
That happened to be laying around.
No, he actually had a closet filled with disguises that he would, you know, alternate to go out in public. And we decided we wanted to do it, you know, risk at the peak of risk potential. No security, no bodyguards, no informing anyone that we were even going. We literally were sitting in his house in Encino having dinner. He said, "What should we do tonight?" I said, "I don't know. What do you want to do?" And he said, "I don't know. Anything you want, I'm open to." I said, "How about Disneyland?" He goes, "You know I love Disneyland." I said, "I know. I always see pictures of you there. I want to go to Disneyland with you. I've always wanted to do that, you know." He goes, "Well, then let's do it." And we just literally jumped in the car. We stopped by his apartment in Westwood. He grabbed an afro and a mustache. And I grabbed a fake mustache and this FBI hat that he had. And, you know, put my hair in a ponytail and these big aviator glasses. And we drove to Disneyland. And when we got there, we realized that these fans had tailed us all the way from his apartment in Westwood to Disneyland. And when we pull into the parking lot, the fans jump out of their cars. They come running up to us and they're like, "Aren't you Michael and Cory?" And we're like, "Yeah, that's us. Can we take some pictures? Michael, can we have some autograph?" They didn't ask me for my autograph. They wanted Michael. Signed the autographs. We took the pictures. And that was it. We went around and went about our merry day. And that was the interesting thing to me, is that, like, with all the pandemonium, with all the, the freaking out that you see, the bum rushing with millions of people surrounding him, when he went out there and he just went into mainstream, went into the public, without all the hoopla, and somebody would approach him, he would just gently and kindly turn around, sign the picture and the autograph like anybody else, and then go about his day. And people would just do the same. They'd fall in line. They'd say, thank you very much, and they'd go about their day. No big deal. But that's the part people don't really realize about Michael, is that he was just a regular guy. At the end of the day, he put his shoes on one foot at a time, just like everybody else.
You have this, again, you light up when you talk about Michael, and you light up when you talk about Cory. There was a point where you felt Michael starting to drift away from you. You've mentioned this, where you felt the relationship begin to pull away. How'd that make you feel, and why do you think that was?
Well, I don't know about drifting away or pulling away. I think that, in actuality, the story's in the book. There was a very definite point where we ended our friendship. And the ending of that friendship came more from me than it did from him.
Why, Cory?
Well, because he said some very unsettling things to me. And he questioned the integrity of our relationship. Now, my entire life has been based on the fact that I am a man of integrity. That I am a man who, no matter what, when I'm dead and gone, I want people to say that man never told lies. That man was honest. He was a man of his word. If he said it, it's true. Period. Whether it's I make plans with somebody, I give my word to somebody, whatever the arrangement is, if I put my name on it, if I put my word on it, I deliver that as being factual. Period.
Very interesting. Did you ever notice any changes in Michael Jackson that maybe you wanted to reach out to him and help him in the way that you wanted to reach out to Cory Haim? Was there ever?
Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, when I came to New York to see Michael for the 30th anniversary, which was at Madison Square Garden, that ended up being the last time I saw Michael. And part of the reason I felt I needed to be here is because the family had called me and said, we want you to come and do an intervention with him. He's got all this stuff with the pain meds and, the prescribed medications, as is now very much public record. But at the time it wasn't, and it was a big secret. And they asked me to come down here and participate in an intervention with him. So that's what I was there doing. And then we had our falling out. From that time, we never spoke again.
Two names, if you could comment on. Conrad Murray.
What would you like to know?
Your thoughts. What comes to mind?
I met Conrad Murray all the way back then at the 30th anniversary, Madison Square Garden. He was known as Dr. Feelgood for Michael. The way that Elvis had his doctor, he would follow him around with a bag of goodies, and he gave me his business card that night. He said, I'm Michael's doctor. Give me a call if you need any. So I know that he'd been in the picture a lot longer than has been depicted in the press. And to me, it's quite unfortunate that they left him alone in a room with this crazy guy.
Safe to say that you, in some way, hold Conrad Murray accountable for what has happened to your friend?
Of course I hold him accountable. He pulled the trigger. At the end of the day, whether it was done intentionally, whether he was paid by Michael or by someone else to do it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it was a suicide, doesn't matter whether it was an assassination, doesn't matter whether it was an accident. At the end of the day, he pulled the trigger. So he is responsible. Absolutely.
That's a very powerful statement, and again,
Fact.
Your courage is there to make that statement. What does the name Bill Bray mean to you?
Great guy. Bill Bray was, the safety net around Michael. He gave him his lifetime. He really did. He was a man dedicated to Michael. His service, kept Michael safe through some of the hairiest situations you can imagine, with hundreds of thousands of crazed fans tearing at him, trying to get to that epicenter, and Michael's there in the center. And sometimes it was only Bill Bray that he had to protect him. And, they never had an incident. Michael never had to, use a fist. Bill Bray never had to pull out his gun.